All right, SHS students, it's an absolute pleasure to be with Mr. Kyle Lewis this week, our culinary arts teacher at SHS High School. Mr. Lewis, do you want to tell us how many years you've been with the school district? Tell us about the different classes that you teach, and then tell us what we're going to witness today.
Thank you. So this is my 16th year teaching here at SHS High School. I am a 2001 graduate of the same high school. We have 3 levels within the culinary program. The first level is a semester class. In that we cover the basics of cooking, the foundational skills, how to properly use a knife, understanding cooking methods, with a good amount of lab time as well to reinforce those lessons. We are gonna get the students introduced to cooking with meats, vegetables, various types of starches. Today they're making fresh pasta. And then we get some introduction into baking as well. The second level is a full year class. That's primarily focusing on the history of cuisine. So about 3/4 of the year, we're doing international cuisine. We go around to major countries throughout the world, kind of look at their history, their topography, which is like their land makeup, where are they situated in the world, and you begin to understand at the time of shipping food and transportation, before flight, before refrigeration, what effect did that have on cuisine. And so you see where the need for smoking and preserving all the very regional styles of cooking. Now with internet and refrigeration, we can be doing food in India, Texas, Mississippi, wherever. Here in Oregon, and that kind of regionality aspect of food is kind of lost or muddled. So
That's super fascinating though. So
yeah,
the
it's
history.
interesting to go back and see, a true pure bite of the apple of, this was one style of cuisine. By the time that we see it, there's so much foreign influence, either through invasion, war, politics, religion. All those things kind of begin to affect the food. So
it's probably a side of food and culinary that most students don't even think about until they take your class, I would
it's
imagine.
a way to learn history without it being a history textbook.
Got it.
It makes it a little bit more relatable. You see some of the bigger influences that might lead up to the Russian Revolution, to the French Revolution, into those type of occurrences. So 3/4 of the year, we're looking at major countries, and then part of third quarter, and then all of fourth quarter, we're looking at American regional. So once we've kind of seen what the rest of the world has done, by the time they start showing up to the Americas, in groups about 5-6 states at a time, you see each kind of regional influence. So it's a really great way to learn history, and just get exposed to a ton of different international food. The advanced class, the third and final level, mainly taken by juniors and seniors. You can take it both years. It's a dual period class, so you're here for 2 periods of the day. And in that program, we're really focusing on specialty areas of food. Between cooking 1, cooking 2, if you enjoy cooking and you maybe have an idea that you either want to continue learning about food, or you're looking at industry, those are great programs to get you set up to be a cook or to go to culinary school. The last program, I don't like to only prepare students for a launch of being a line cook or being, a general cook. So in that class, we tend to look at specialty areas. So we do a lot of whole animal butchery. Every year we get in a cow, we get in a pig. They learn the breakdown process, they learn the butchery process. From that, we learned how to make steak, we learned how to make our stock, we learned how to make sausage, dried meat, cured meats. At the time of before refrigeration, things had to be salted, fermented, cured. And because of technology, bacon technically should be obsolete because now we can refrigerate food, but looking at those old preserving techniques. We'll get into fermented vegetables. So right now, kimchi's really kind of a hot thing, kombucha. We'll study cheese making, we'll study advanced bread making, cake decorating, working with fondant, working with piping bags. So just taking a look at all these little specific areas that typically in food service, you know, it is very difficult to make a healthy living, but these areas of interest are typically the higher paying, the more desirable. If they understand science, this is where like a fermentation science degree, you know, is very desirable right now in the Pacific Northwest. Really using my biceps, I'm kind of leaning into it. And as I push, I'm pushing forward and I'm kind of stretching this out. So you're probably going to be working with your dough, I would say, in 6 portions. We're going to speed up the process a little bit today, but you're going to be working with a portion of dough about this big. Okay, 1/6 to 1. Okay. Dusting. You can work with bread flour or all-purpose. At this point, it is not important. So a little bit of flour to dry it out. Your pasta machine goes up to, I think, 9 settings. We're going to start off on number 1. This week, we're going to laminate the dough. Write it down. Okay, laminating. So it's one thing that you kneaded it and developed gluten. We're basically going to be rolling it out and folding it back over on itself. And we're going to be adding layers to the pasta. If it starts to feel slightly damp, you're going to add a little bit of flour to it. So we'll do this about 5 or 6 times. You're going to feel it start to get a little bit more leathery, okay? It's start going to feel more durable. And then we're going to be ready to proceed. So we're going to go through number 2. It's going to get firmer, thinner. If it doesn't go the full width of the deck, I'm not concerned about that this week. We're making pasta, we're making noodles. When we're making lasagna or raviolis, we'll show you how to ensure that next week. Okay, so as it starts to feel a little bit too sticky, we're going to add a little bit of flour. So as we roll, any flour that's on the dough is going to be incorporated into the dough. So knock off the excess. We're going to go up to number 5. And we're going to go 1 time through. And then the one that we're going to finish on, we're going to roll through twice. The reason for that is the gluten. Each time we go thinner, we have 1 thickness, and then we go down thinner, and then it springs back a little bit. And then we go thinner, and then it springs back. The 2 times through, it's going to ensure that you have a nice, consistent thickness. So this is number 5. We're going to roll through a 2nd time. We're going to add a little bit of flour. Get rid of the excess. Switch over to the fettuccine attachment. Parmesan cheese, grated. If you buy the brick and grate it yourself, awesome. If you buy shredded, great. What you can't use is that box of powdered Parmesan, green canned Kraft. Who knows what I'm talking about? Okay. The reason why you can't use that, to keep the cheese from sticking together, they have cornstarch added to that. Cornstarch will do something really goofy to the consistency of our sauce. So you have to work with a real Parmesan. Okay. Drop in pasta. It's at a full boil. Okay, give it a few seconds. Let it just kind of start to firm up. Pasta fork, just kind of moving it around. We don't want it sticking to the bottom. Okay, so we got this still medium-high heat. We've added all 3 ounces of Parmesan, and this is where you get to just stand here and whisk and distribute that Parmesan until it's nice and thick and dissolved. We dip a spoon, and we're gonna see these little grains. That's the last little bit of Parmesan that hasn't fully melted and dissolved. You can go get some really low rent Parmesan, and something that's very iconic with really expensive good Parmesan is gonna be a slightly nutty flavor. So you can add just a little bit of nutmeg and actually mimic a very high-end Parmesan. I'm gonna add just a little bit of white pepper. Again, the white pepper because I want to add just a little bit of flavor to it. That's very non-traditional Parmesan, but I don't want to see the black chunks. So again, that's why I'm going to be working with a white pepper instead of a dark.
All right, we're back for day 2 in Mr. Lewis's Culinary Period 4 class, and we're gonna check out students rolling the pasta today. Yesterday they made the pasta and put it in the fridge. Do you wanna go down the line and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi, I'm Braylon. That's it.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a freshman and I'm in Culinary 1.
Okay.
Megan, I'm a sophomore, also in Culinary 1.
I'm Allie and I'm a 2.
So yesterday was making the dough, today is rolling the dough. Tell me about the different settings, because you have to like run each clump of dough through several times, right?
Yeah, so each clump of dough will start out on setting 1, we'll run it through and fold it in half to laminate and create a layer in the pasta. And then after 2 times run through each setting, we'll move it up one until it reaches the thinnest layer. And we'll put it through the end here and it'll cut our dough.
Okay, so you technically have to roll each piece of dough through like 8 times almost?
Yeah.
Okay. And that just helps.
It'll just thin out the dough. Each time we move it up, it thins it out versus hand rolling where you get an sort of inconsistency.
Okay, all right, we're just rolling away here. So now we're adjusting it to the next setting and continuing to. We were just talking a second ago, like my granny lived on a farm and they made everything by scratch. So she used to make handmade pasta as well. It takes a minute, but it's delicious.
Then move that one. Yeah, move that hand and catch it.
Don't put your fingers wrong.
Why?
I don't know. It's
There
awkward.
they go. They're the noodles. They're so pretty.
It's fine.
You're doing it. You're doing great.
Good job.
Thank you.
Recording some more magical noodles. Oh. All right, so we plopped the noodles in and now we're adding some salt. How long does it take these noodles to cook when they're fresh like this?
Like 90 seconds.
Not very long. How about it? Okay, so now we're making sauce with butter and cream. And what else are we gonna add to that? First, we're gonna let this simmer and mix. And then we're gonna add Parmesan and some spice. Okay.
And then we'll pour it over our noodles.
All right, magic.
I don't know if that was
Adding the noodles. All right. Teamwork makes the dream work. Good job.
Oh, grabbing.
How is it? Is it pretty good?
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm picky with my Alfredo, not gonna lie.
Uh-huh.
This one's good.
You did a good job. Wonderful. Thanks for letting me hang out with you today.
Of course.